Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are back at SS1-2, giving you our daily update on how things are going and playing out. So, the last update we gave you was in regards to TA, the Union side, pushing, or for their Union, pushing the SS Union side, which again, to give you that lay of the land for how that works, you can see a little battle happening there at the second southeastern pass from Novola, which is the Zone 1 region here. There's 7 Zone 1 regions, and then going into DARALAN. Now, the sides really at this moment is TA, TMS, and then TM, right? Now, there's also GRZ and UEH, but there's either some consolidating that's happening, or, you know, again, maybe they're just biding some time. I actually have to go see what has happened here, because GRZ is here, so I'm not sure if their job is just kind of cleanup at this point, and that's their play. I don't see them building or destroying any other flags, so maybe there's just a little bit of a delay that's happening now. But for all intents and purposes, the 2 out of 4 gates here are being fought after. Then you have on the other side, right, we have GOD, NT45, BDL, and then the SS alliances, right? So we're kind of saying TA Union, SS Union for short. And essentially what's happening now is that they had both of these level 1 passes. At this time, TA and TM have now captured the 2 southern level 1 passes out of these 4 here. And again, we saw the little skirmish right there that was playing out, and you could see that, again, still a little bit of fighting. Apparently there was a lot of fighting that happened last night. I caught a little bit of it right before I was going to bed, but again, I was so tired. There was literally no energy left in my soul/voice to be able to do any sense of commentary and give you a nice play-by-play. And really, at the moment, again, we're not seeing anything really large or big scale, right? We're seeing some small skirmishes kind of back and forth. But what we can see is that TA has been pushing out a little bit here on this pass. You can see that there are still some barricades in place from NT. Right, none of these have really kind of been dealt with yet. But again, you are seeing that at least some of the initial barricades being placed from TA to start kind of pushing some of that boundary from the pass so they can get a little more wiggle room to start moving out is there. The challenge is that when you start getting closer to the pass, you really need to have a lot higher activity overall in order to sustain those that are hanging out here, trying to remove these barricades close to the pass, if that's even an intent, which basically means that you need to have more ranged units than your opponents, so you can make sure that you're hitting them and you're kind of clearing out this area on their, I guess, shoulder or kind of interior of their pass, so you create enough spacing in order to then have your players start removing their barricades. Again, I don't know if they're even worried about rallying the passes at this point. Got to get those morning yawns in, if you know what I mean. Disgusting hairball. Okay. Then when we move to the southeastern pass, we can see here that TM holding this really for the most part against BDL. I don't believe that there's really anything too strong happening right now. Again, TM is building some things. BDL's been pretty consistent with keeping up, and you can see they already have keeps set up as well. I don't know. I think it was just the 2, right? We saw 1 here and then 1 up there. Yeah, so they kind of have this choke point locked up pretty well. You know, I think one way to do it would have been to try and have, you know, again, if they needed to get more players in, I think really maximizing the space here and trying to put as many cities down as possible. And then, you know, maybe you'll leave 1 space here and there for keeps. And then you just mass build. And I think that was maybe something that could have happened earlier, just depending on how active the TM side was. If BDL might have been able to get their max level barricades up and just really hoarded that all the way through. Maybe they did, or maybe they just opted to do it for their territory based on what we're seeing right there. But again, nothing really as far as skirmishes and a lot of fights that are happening right now, because I think for the most part it's kind of just the aftermath, right? We are obviously seeing some up here, which is nice, right? You see Gods getting into some action here with NT45. Again, BDL, like we talked about, has, I believe, the Southern there, at least it seems, pretty locked up. Again, it could also just be TA and TM's low active time, and maybe that's just why they're not really doing a lot of pushing. But now it just kind of comes back to, again, now that TA and TM have both of the passes here, what's the play for the SS Union side? Are they not... Number two, are they not going to rally and, in short, constantly keep defending? And is that the play that they're now going to opt with? Maybe changing it up from what they did on the Nivola to Sophrostia front? And just kind of play out the open field game, so that way they're maybe going with more favorable trades, right? So maybe the play here is it doesn't matter when they push out. Maybe they'll just be more reactive. Or, for example, maybe they'll be active, but they'll wait for some of the TA units to push out here. And then, like in a good example here, right, with this Penyamba person or GC, again, right, not a bad shadow games, but you want to hit more than one person. And in this situation, you don't want to go solo, right? You want to go with other people. So an example here is that if you have you have a decent amount of units, coordinate these offensives, right? So if they push out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, you have more than that. You counter push at the same time. And then like we talked about, right? Again, look at this. There you had 3 units there attacking Penyum and kind of single targeting that individual out. That's kind of what you want to do, right? Except you want to do yours in a more coordinated way and effort, to where you're spreading out, you're not taking unnecessary AoE damage as much as possible, and then you're focus firing the most overextended enemy legion, right? That's kind of the base idea of it. And we talk about this often, where we don't usually see consistently this being done yet. There's been moments and glimmers of those things happening, but these are opportunities, I think, for the SS Union side, especially just because TA and TM, or the TA Union side, has been more of the aggressor at this time, and they're pushing up. It's really kind of incumbent upon the SS Union in order to just be better, right, than possibly where they have been overall when it comes to their organization, their coordination efforts, doing those things that are really going to help. Because, sometimes I watch the fights and I think to myself, well, they have this union here, but part of it feels, at least on the field, as we're watching from this semi-overhead, that they're kind of individual alliances that have just decided, oh yeah, hey, we're going to work together with each other. But then there's not really a conscious effort to really be in sync, right, consistently. And I think TA and the TM side have done that a little bit more than the SS Union side has. Also, respectively, they've been playing together with a good portion of their players and alliances for a lot longer than the SS Union side has, just because with the introduction of the S5 and the S6 alliances, right? So there is a little bit, I imagine, of a learning curve there. Yeah. So, again, well, obviously we're going to have to see how that develops over time and what is exactly going to happen here in this situation, because really, for all intents and purposes, given that the SS Union side held these 2-level impasses, now the TA Union side has them, right? You could make the argument it's really just, a matter of time until they're able to keep pushing in, and then eventually they'll kind of break this front. And then it also depends on, what's going to happen. If this front or this defensive staging area is defeated, right? What'll happen if NT45 God, BDL, right, these forts, this SS18 fort, these forts up here, what happens if all these forts here, right, are kind of basically cleared out? That to me is going to be interesting on how will the SS Union side respond if, and again, based on the trend, you could make the argument and say when that happens, what will happen? Will they consistently keep resisting? Will they do it in other regions? Will they refortify themselves and basically just keep resetting up in regions and maybe just trying to devise, a plan of attack or plan of action? I still like the idea of, if they fell back here, to start prepping. And that's my thing, right? Multitasking and doing kind of macro plays at the same time, where, look, you're fighting on this front, but part of me feels as though you should be setting something up here, right? You should be having maybe farm alliances or other alliances that are active, but maybe just not the main fighting ones. And they should just be building like a wall of flags, just a Tetris wall of flags or something, right? And just build it out as far as they can, build as many barricades, anything and everything to kind of slow the advance. Or if you think about it, to force an open field situation that is not always being done in the passes for rallies and or closely around the passes, right? The thing is that when you're fighting to and from a pass, like we've talked about, the person who has the pass control really somewhat has the advantage because they're able to initiate and dictate when the engagement occurs, right? So that means that the legions that are on the other side of the pass are always going to be reactive, right? You basically have to be on as much, or you have to react in arguably the same extremely short period of time that for when the initiators actually go through the pass to attack, right, to start their offensive. So that's why it is somewhat of a disadvantageous situation when you are not the one controlling the pass. So then you have to start thinking about, well, how do I fight away from the pass? And these are questions that are good to ask and to think about, because it really will depend on how they play this out. I think that idea I just provided is one example. I think another example is just trying to fight away from the pass and not really trying to rally, especially if you're not, let's just say they're not getting favorable trades on the rallies, right? Whether they attack the pass or they're defending it. Then you have to think about, how do I fight away from the pass to put yourself in a either one-to-one, a more neutral like playing field, or creating advantages for yourself. And I think that's something that they need to start thinking about, if maybe they already are. Right? Again, who am I to say? Because I don't know, obviously, the internal conversations that are happening there. But just from visually watching and from playing out and understanding how the mechanics work for the CF drops, what some of the trades are that I've been hearing from on both sides, to me, that almost seems like the next thing to test out and try to see how that might work. With that in mind, that's pretty much it for today. Honestly, this is a short one. Like I said, there's not really whole ton of action, but I do want to hear from you. If you're in SS1-2, if you're an observer, what do you think they should do, right? When it comes to, again, because TA is the aggressor, the TA Union is the aggressor right now, right? They kind of have the advantages and the momentum on their side. What do you think the SS Union should do right now when it comes to testing out what they maybe could still try and possibly see some favorable results or returns from testing those things out? So let me know in the comments down below. That is going to be it for me. Again, as always, I hope you enjoy. Until next time, I will catch you later.